Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and to another unboxing video. I have succumbed to the Instagram adverts, as you can see. Today we're going to be unboxing one of these all-in-one modular art or hobby boxes from KRYDRUFI. So I'm sure if you've been scrolling through Instagram, you've seen the adverts for one of these with all the detachable paint cups and detachable wet palettes and stuff like that. And it was my birthday recently and Mrs. Waffle was asking me for ideas to buy me for my birthday because I'm terrible to buy for. So I suggested she get one of these, and she's actually got me the Ultra set, which is pretty cool. So I thought, do you know what, I'm sure lots of people have seen the adverts on Instagram and been wondering what it's like, so I've got one. Let's open the box, let's review it and see if it's all it's cracked up to be. So as I said, this is the Ultra set. You can customize what you want on their website, or if you wanted you can just order one from Amazon, but if you go on the website you can choose different things to get. Like she's got me some extra palette paper and stuff like that. So in this you get the main body, you get the two paint cuts, you get a number of brush holders as well, then there's two airtight apparently paint containers, which we'll see about shortly, and then two wet palettes as well. So if you've seen the Instagram video where they're clipping the wet palettes together, that was the kind of the thing that sold me on it. So, you know, you could have two separate wet palettes, one for metallics maybe and one for normal colours, and two paint waters, one for metallics and one for normal. But looking at the box, as I said, this is the Ultra set. All the modules connect together. You got a wet palette there, so the papers go on the top, even though it's illustrating it that that's your wet palette and the storage is underneath. It is a little bit confusing, which I'll show you shortly. Then we've got different trays. There's your airtight paint container. Now I'm sure that'll probably work for oil paints and stuff like that, but for acrylic paints, even though it says perfect seal, I'm not actually sure whether your paint is going to last more than 60 days. That'll be very interesting to see if that is the case. And then on the other side there's just some other diagrams there for, you could use one of the paint buckets for water and you could use another one maybe for storage. It is completely modular, if you like. You can clip things in different places and just basically customize it to your heart's content. So you can see it's a water bucket, detachable paint cup, silicone brush cleaning insert, inner brush holder to keep your brush wet, outer brush holder where your brushes can drip into this little tray there, versatile wet palette, which is number 6 that you can see here. So this one is your paper tray, I think, and then your sponge and your paper goes in there. That's certainly how I will be using it, I think. Airtight paint storage, disposable palette paper, and highly moisturizing sponge. So there's your palette paper and there's your sponge. So anyway, that is enough about what's on the box and what it's saying you get. Let's actually have a look inside and see what we do indeed get. So opening up, I have something to say. Our mission is to create value for artists by saving time, space and money. We don't like playing tricks because we highly value our reputation. Our products are not 100%, blah 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 blah. It's basically a customer service blurb saying if you're not happy, they will exchange stuff and they'll upgrade products based on feedback, which is pretty cool. Now fair play to their marketing department, because very rare have I succumbed to something as an advert on Instagram and thought, do you know what, I'm buying that. But this one, it did get me in hook, line and sinker, and I've ended up buying it. So I've done some hobbyists a favour, hopefully. Hopefully at the end of this they'll find something useful from this. So before we have a look in the main box, let's just see what we've got in here. It should be our sponges and wet palette paper, I believe. There's also some miniature mixing paper that it comes with as well. Now that is an interesting point. So 4-in-1 disposable palette paper. So this is our wet palette paper. It's got some Q&A on the packet there, which is pretty good. There's 25 sheets in there. And then this one is miniature special mixing paper. Now this, I believe, is just standard sort of palette paper. I don't think it's for your wet palette, and I think this one you're just going to be using like a Games Workshop palette pad, you know, the paper pad that you can mix your paints on. So I think this is just for mixing paints on, specifically like oil paints perhaps, or something like that, as smooth as mixing on glass and plastic palettes. So I think this is just your Games Workshop palette pad, your mixing paper. And then also we've got two of these highly moisturizing sponges. So basically your wet palette sponge. If you've seen a wet palette, you know how they work, like the Army Painter one. You've got a disposable sponge, or the Redgrass one. Now I know Adam from Tabletop Minions did a video on this, and he said his sponge was wet in the packet. I don't know if he got a Duff one or something like that, but this is certainly dry in the packet. And again, this one is definitely dry in the packet. So two of those for each wet palette, and we've got some wet palette paper. She did actually order me a couple of spare sponges and a couple of packets of extra palette paper as well, which was pretty cool. I was very pleased about that. It's just the same as what's in that packet, so I'm not going to open it up, but greatness comes from a small beginning. We believe in the power of detail. So again, there's the sort of the marketing blurb on there. So I do have some extra sponges and wet palette paper, but anyway, enough about that. Let's get the product out of the box and take a look without bashing the camera if possible. So I'll move the box out of the way. There we have it, the all-in-one modular box from KRYDRUFI. So as you can see, she's gone for the green option rather than the olive green option rather than the blue one, and it is completely modular. You can see where it all clips together here and there. If you're wondering what's rattling, I'll show you that very shortly. So first off, let's look at the paint cups. So these are completely detachable, and your brush holders clip off and you can clip them wherever you want. There's your silicone paint insert which goes inside, so you put that in the bottom, and then you've got something to scrub your brushes on and clean your brushes on, which I think is pretty cool. So brush holder you can have clipped to the side like that, and your brushes just sit nicely in there. It's rubber, it's nice and soft, you're not going to have any difficulty putting brushes in and out of there, and there's a bit of resistance, so it's not just going to pop off when you lift your brush up. And then this one is your outer brush holder with the tray at the bottom, so like a drip tray. So that one you could perhaps clip to the side of this like that, and then put this one in here, and then when you want to empty your paint water, you just pick that up and you're not going to have the brushes go flying. Or you could clip it to that one, but that's probably going to catch. So I think that's probably how I will have it, like that. So brush holder there, outer brush holder there. Again with this one, it comes with a silicone cleaning insert in the bottom. I've yet to use this, so obviously I don't know how effective it's going to be in terms of scrubbing the paint off your brushes, and of course without trying to damage your brush heads. Again, we've got a brush holder there. I'll just bring that in for a closer look. It is nice soft rubber, and that is decent plastic, you know, so hopefully these are going to last. They're not just going to ping off and go flying anywhere and stuff like that. And then you've got the outer brush holder again, solid bit of plastic, and we've got our rubber brush holders on there. So fingers crossed, it should be nice and easy to just get a brush, pop it in there, and then even if you've got a big brush like an army painter one, that's fine. Hardly any resistance to take that brush out, nice and easy. So I'll probably again pop that on the side like that. This brush holder will go on the inside, and then I've got another one for paint water there. Of course, you don't have to use both of these for paint water. You can, if you wanted to. You could do away with the brushes and the silicone thing. You could have that as your paint water, and that as tool storage, so you could put loads of files in there and stuff like that. However you want to do it, that's how modular it is, and that's one of the things that sold me on it, because unless you've got one of those massive MDF desk organizer things or something like that for all your tools and all your paints and all your hobby stuff, something like this is going to be ideal. And just before we delve into the rest of it, it is quite compact even with all the bits attached to it. So perhaps if you travel around for work, or you're moving around a lot, or you're a student and you want to take your hobby stuff with you, something like this could actually be really, really beneficial. So anyway, that is the main body of the thing itself. As you can see, it unclips on the side there. So what I'll do is I'll just pop these two brush holders off, put those to one side, and then we can take a closer look at the clips. So these are, I believe, the airtight paint storage, and these are the wet palettes, or it could be the other way around, I'm not sure. So we'll unclip one, and as you can see, that was nice and easy. Main body is now off, and you can customize it however you want. All the connections are the same, so we'll just move that to one side. We'll put these brush holders back on however we want them, and you can put them on the front if you wanted to as well. So if you wanted to have them like that, you can. Completely modular. So first of all, let's just separate these two. So I'll put that back up there. One thing I will say, these little plastic clips for the way it connects to the top module or the module underneath, they are only small. Hopefully they are very tough and they're not going to break. So that is more of my one concern from looking at it. They look like they could, if you force them, perhaps snap off. So hopefully I'm not going to snap it in this review. Again, very, very simple to get off. So all you need to do is undo that, and then the next one will just lift off. So this one, if we just undo this, is one of the paint storage modules. So it says complete airtight seal. Now there is no rubber in there, however there is a very small groove for the edges to fit in, and it is raised up above these interior sections. So theoretically this could probably form an airtight seal. I didn't like that click then, that was very alarming. However, nothing's broken, so fingers crossed these bits on the side here are going to last. and they're not going to break off easily. But if they do a version 2, if I was going to give some feedback to KRYDRUFI or whatever, make these bigger, you know, maybe all the way to the top there, as long as it doesn't interfere with how they connect up. Those do look like over time they may possibly break, so something to bear in mind as you're moving these around and messing them about. So I'll just unclip those again, so that's ready to put back together. Again, we've got another one of these, so I'll unclip that and just lift it off. So you'll have to undo one side, and then you can just easily lift it off, he says. There we go. And there is your wet palette underneath. So we'll move the two airtight, apparently, these things to the side, and there we have one of the wet palettes. So I'm just going to close that up again, and I'll separate the two wet palettes. So just unclip one of them, and then they just come apart like that. There we go. So there's your two wet palettes. So we'll take a look at one of them to begin with. So this top section has got these metal clips. Now again, this could be a flimsy part. It is quite strong. There is not enough room under one of these metal clips, I don't think, to put your sponge and your paper. This, I believe, is for your paper storage. So all your spare paper you'd have under here, held in place by these clips. Then underneath, you've got actual wet palette. Now we've got some spare clips here and a user manual, which is pretty cool. So it's nice that they give you some spare clips. Hopefully, like I said, they're not going to break. I'll just put those to one side. Here's our user manual that shows you how to use everything. So some nice instructions on how to use the wet palette, how to prepare the paper, inserting the paper, and then how to use the wet palette. So you can see from the instructions, the sponge in the paper goes in the bottom, the sponge is in the bottom there, and that's your paper storage. Take the paper from the palette cover. So the palette cover, that is definitely your storage. I should have really looked at all this before I started making the video, but you're discovering it with me, and that's what these kind of reviews are all about, isn't it? So nice that you're getting a user manual and instructions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that back in there, pop that back in there. So that's one wet palette. I'll just close that one up, and then the other one is exactly the same. We've got our paper storage tray on the top with our clips to hold it in place. When you're ready to paint, you pop these off. Sponge goes in there, wet sponge, palette paper on top, and the beauty about these is you can just clip them together nice and easily, and you've got two together like that. So you could have paper there, wet palette there, or you could have two wet palettes on the go at the same time, which is probably what I'm going to do. So I'll have maybe one for mixing metallics, one for normal paint, and then water for a metallic, water for normal paint. Or you could do it any way you want. You could have a bits box there. So instead of an airtight paint storage for these, what I'm probably going to do is store bits in there. All your little bits, Space Marine bits, grenades, holsters, anything like that can all go in there. That click is alarming when that goes back together, but I was rough with it then and everything seems alright. It has got, if you can just see, it isn't just a flat clip, it has got a little bit of a spine to it at an angle. So that's pretty decent. That's some extra support there to stop it bending and breaking. So hopefully, perhaps in the prototype, they noticed that these were breaking and they've added that little bit of an extra angled support there. That's pretty cool. As I said, wet palettes, two together, they clip together nice and easily, and then they should come apart nice and easily as well. I haven't actually taken these apart on video, so this is going to be interesting. I'm going to put that lid on first, actually. And then we'll get these apart and put everything back together again. As you can see, they do just clip together at the side on both joints there, and to get them apart you just give it a bit of a push and they come apart nice and easily. So again, to get them clipped back together, you just undo these clips, one goes on top of the other and they clip back in. Those black clips exactly the same as the green clips, all modular, all goes back together. And if you wanted to, you could do away with those plastic support boxes or the airtight paint containers, or however you want to use them. Put your wet palette on the bottom and then that will clip into place onto the main body of your box. Then you can move these paint storage around, put them however you want them, so that can go in there, or you can clip it back to the side like that. And then these, again, to put them back together, you just clip into place with these, and then you undo your top one and that can go on the bottom of here. And again, it's the same thing. Let's clip it back into place. Sorry, this is quite difficult to do, keeping it all on the camera at the same time without bashing the camera. And there we go. So that is everything in one packet. Nice and easy. These can go back in here and be stored on the inside of the tray. And it can all go back in the box fairly easily. So if you're traveling around, as I said, it is a nice compact modular thing to carry around. Don't tip it upside down because they will fall out, as we've just discovered. But it does have a carry handle as well, so you can carry it around from room to room. If you don't have a dedicated hobby desk in your house, flat, wherever you are, and you want to just get something out to do a bit of painting every now and again and put it away, you can even keep all your wet palettes with your paints on, sealed up at the bottom. You can even keep your paint water in there, just take it away, put it away in a cupboard somewhere, or you can just pop these out, empty them out, and then put it all away. Now, I have seen some people say that they're going to use these side buckets for storage, and then they're going to put water in here. Yes, you can do that, but bear in mind, when you want to empty the water, you have to take this whole body, not the bottom sections because you can disconnect them, but you'd have to take that whole double body to the sink to pour the water away and give it a wipe out. I would say it is much easier to use these as your paint cups, and then you can just take them out and empty them and clean them as and when you need to. So anyway, that is it really. I'm not going to use the wet palette right now because I need to test it out properly first, but hopefully it works just like any other wet palette. You wet your sponge, you've got your palette paper. Hopefully the palette paper is decent. However, worst comes to worst, and it's not, if the palette paper is no good, we can always get some palette paper from another brand and cut them to fit that, which would be a bit of a faff, but at least we know we'll be getting decent paper. So like I said, we've got some more palette paper ordered. That's just turned up. We've got our sponges and we're good to go. So I'm going to do a separate video on the performance of the wet palette and the sponges. What I'll probably do is when the Wave 3 paints turn up for 2 thin coats paint range, the Wave 3 paints are imminent. While I'm testing those paints, I'll probably do a video using the wet palette and we'll test that at the same time. So that's it really. That is your modular art box. Hopefully it should all go back in the box all right without any issues. I've just managed to bash the camera even though I've been trying to avoid it, so that's a little bit disappointing. But like I said, all goes back in the box all right, nice and compact, no issues whatsoever. So if you're traveling around, you could just pop it all back in the box. Obviously you put your wet palette paper back in the box and you're good to go. That is it. That is a quick review and look at the KRYDRUFI all-in-one modular box. As I said, you don't have to get the ultra set like I got. You can just get this box and perhaps one wet palette, or you could get this box, one wet palette and one paint storage, or you could get the box with just 2 wet palettes and with only one brush holder. It is completely optional what you want to get. You can customize it on the website, which I think is pretty cool. Would I recommend this? For me, yes I would, because I don't have anything to store my brushes in really. I just have them on a tray at the side of my desk. Paint cups, I just use a glass or a mug to put my paint water in and stuff like that. And my wet palette, at the moment I'm using an Army Painter wet palette, which is fine. It's a good size, the paper's all right, but it isn't airtight, whereas these seem to be much more give much more of a better seal, I should say. So for me, yes, it's got everything I need. But if you've got a wet palette that you're really happy with, if you've got a box for all your tools that you're really happy with, and if you've got some sort of brush storage set that you're really happy with, and you've got your favourite paint cup, maybe it's probably something you don't need. It would just be a nice to have. However, if you're looking for something portable, something that you can pack up and take to your friend's house, or maybe take to your local hobby store to do some hobbying, or your local game store I should say, then this could be absolutely ideal. And bear in mind, you don't have to go for the ultra set as well, which is what I went for. Now, just to give you an idea on price, for the ultra set with all this stuff that you can see, so 2 wet palettes, 2 paint storage devices and stuff like that, it was £35. Now for me, I think that's pretty decent value considering some of the hobby organizer tats and brush holders that you see on Amazon made of MDF for not far off that price. And bear in mind, you've got to build it yourself and you don't get a wet palette as well. So for me, I would say this is pretty decent value, but obviously of course that is just my opinion, but I just like the way it looks. I like how it's presented. It's not MDF, it's plastic, and it's all compact. It's got 2 wet palettes that clip together, and yes, I was suckered in a little bit by the marketing, but I do really like the look of it, and I just like how compact it is. And how it looks on the desk really. And just a quick disclaimer, by the way, KRYDRUFI or KRYDRUFI, however you pronounce it, have not asked me to make this video. They haven't sent me this. My wife bought it me for my birthday. I was literally just sucked in by the marketing. I wanted to try it, so we ended up getting one, and hopefully it's helped answer some of your questions. If you've seen this on Instagram as you've been whizzing by, I have seen this loads of times on Instagram. I've seen it on Facebook as well. So if you wanted to know what it was actually like, what's inside the box, what it looks like and how it goes together, hopefully this video has helped you out. So if it has, please do let me know by giving it a like. And also don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this. Have you seen it? Have you even got one? Or have you just scrolled past it and thought, what a load of rubbish? Do let me know in the comments. I always read them. I always look forward to reading them, and I always reply as well. If you didn't like the video, rather than give it a thumbs down, just leave me a comment. Let me know what you didn't like, because at the end of the day, that will help me make better videos as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel too, if you wouldn't mind, because that really does help me out. You don't have to press the bell notification, so you're not going to get spammed by alerts when I upload a new video, but subscribing really does help, because over 95% of my viewers are not actually subscribed. And I've got some cool stuff coming up as well. I've got the Warhammer Plus Year 4 subscriber mini, Inquisitor Ostromandeus. I've done an unboxing of that and built the miniature, so that's going to up on the channel next week. And also I have got a very cool unboxing video coming to the channel. If anyone remembers Space Crusade, yes, that board game from 1990, I've got a complete copy of that in really good condition, and I'm going to do an unboxing video on the channel for that, and some other videos on Space Crusade as well. So if you don't want to miss out on that, please do consider subscribing. But anyway, I've gone on long enough. That is your KRYDRUFI all-in-one modular art box. A look inside the box and a look inside the mind of someone who fell for the advert. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've gone on long enough now. All that is left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.